Okay, so now, okay, so this is the buyer's forms class. I'm going to start off today with the simplest of forms. Let's see. So I already went in and loaded all these forms into my document section. So I'm assuming everyone knows how to do that. So I loaded everything in here, all of the addendums, the lead paint I did not load because that comes from the sell side, but I also loaded the CIS forms. So this is, I have two of these. Okay. This is the CIS form, which is the consumer information form, which is due on first cognitive meeting with a buyer, just like it is in New York. Okay, so this is the dual agency form. It wasn't designated. Anyway, you need to have buyers sign both of these forms, the regular CIS form and this dual agency form, just like in New York, because you never know if you're going to go show a listing that could be from one of the agents in our office. And that does put us in a dual agency situation. So really basically the same as New York, you're going to fill it out the same way. I have my name in here as the authorized representative for Keller Williams Hudson Valley Realty. Buyer's going to sign it. You need the brokerage information. All of this was pre-signed, pre-filled in rather through DocuSign, except for my signature, the buyer's signature, and the date. Do you guys have any questions on this form? Okay, I can't see you all because I had to put you off into the corner. So if you have any questions, please just speak up. This is the initial CIS form, which talks about the different types of agency. Again, pretty much the same as in New York. It gives you the definitions of a seller's agent, a buyer's agent, a disclosed dual agent. The only thing that's different that we don't have in New York is this transaction broker. And a transaction broker is an agent that literally just puts a listing into MLS and then is done with the transaction. The seller takes on the responsibility afterwards of doing open houses, of negotiating the deal, of sending the information off to the attorneys. So that's the only difference when you're working with a buyer. That should not come into play at all. That would be strictly on the list side. Again, you're going to fill in, I don't know why this didn't pre-fill, but you're going to put in your buyer's name. Oh, because I don't have a buyer. You're going to put in the buyer's name here, the seller's name in this location. Buyer's intent is consumer information that receive the statement. This is where your name would go, the agent name would go. And you're going to then check off the relationship that you have. So I would, in this instance, always check off buyer's agents and disclose dual agent if the opportunity arises. So this will cover you as well if you do happen to show a property that perhaps Michael Cantor has listed, or Kim Lozano, or just any one of our agents in our office. Questions here, guys? Okay, I'm going to save and close. Okay, so the next form that we're going to go through is the contract, and that is the largest form, I guess, for New Jersey that we have. Along with the contract, depending upon the property that you are showing, there are many, many addendums that could possibly be needed when you submit this form. So for instance, this is an addendum for coronavirus. This is an addendum for underground tanks, oil tanks. Yeah. This is an addendum for a swimming pool. This is an addendum for solar panels. This is an addendum for a private well. This is for private sewage disposal. This is for this is a buyer's property sale contingency form. There are many more besides these. So if you have a situation that is unique, there's probably an addendum for it. Okay, let's go through the contract. And the contract, within the contract, it also lists some of the addendums that you might need. Okay, so the first page of this form is really just, it's a notice about this transaction. So here, pretty much in number one, you're stating that you are representing the buyer, not the seller. So you would be checking off that first box. You're not going to be giving any legal advice. You are not an attorney. They should hire an attorney to then represent them in this transaction. This is one thing that I have to stress to you all, which I never stressed before, but you have 3 days to get this to an attorney, because an attorney is the only person who can cancel this contract if the buyer decides to cancel it. So it's imperative that once this is signed by buyer and seller and you have an accepted offer, that this gets sent off to their attorney immediately. And it talks about that part of the transaction in these next few numeric instances. So please be sure, see it's right in here in number 4, this contract becomes final and binding unless your lawyer cancels it within the following 3 business days. If you do not have a lawyer, you cannot change or cancel the contract unless the other party agrees. So there are instances where you can, but it's just best to put this in the attorney's hands immediately. Neither can the real estate broker nor the title insurance company change the contract. So an attorney is essential, just like in New York, in a real estate transaction. Okay, so with that, you're going to have the buyer sign. You're going to have the seller sign once it's an accepted offer. The listing broker is going to sign, the selling broker is going to sign, and you're again going to put your name here because you are the one preparing this contract. Then we get into actually the nitty-gritty of the contract. So this is, in the beginning, it's just a table of contents of what's in here. This is the new contract, so just let it be known to you guys that you all should have gotten a notice from Najjar saying that they added to this contract. There's a new, we're not covering this today, but there's a new law in place for lead paint in rental properties. So there has been language added to this contract, and I'll show you where that language was added. So this the new contract is in DocuSign. It is the most up-to-date one. I checked to make sure. Okay. So the parties of the contract, I just used my son's name as the buyer here. So you'll put the buyer's name here, his address, agrees to purchase from, so the seller's name would go next, and the seller's address. They may or may not live in the house, so you would have to get the address of the seller. And you are going to then put in the property address shown on the municipal map of, that's the town, whatever town the property is located in, that would go here. And then whatever county the property is located in would go here. You know, we most of the time sell in Bergen, but we're kind of been all over the place now. So you have to just be cognizant of what county you would be working in. You can get the block and lot number from the tax record. And this qualifier, oh, so this is if it's a condominium. I don't know what the qualifier is. I may have to find that out. That's something new also. So I'm not sure what goes in there. So I don't know why we have a 0 here. We have a 0 in the wrong place. I have to have Lori correct this. So the purchase price goes in the first line. That would be whatever your offer price is. The initial deposit is where the 0 should go. So back in the day, people would, when making an offer on a property, would sometimes leave $1,000 check in good faith to show that they were really interested in the property, and that would have to have then been put in our escrow account. And then once the offers were accepted, we would have 3 days then to send that check on to the attorneys. So it just was very cumbersome, and there were a lot of time factors involved, and the Department of Banking would come in and look at our bank records. So, and on a whole, people decided they didn't want to do that anymore or deal with that anymore. So typically initial deposit is always a 0. The additional deposit, the next line, that's your down payment at contract signing. So just like it's very similar to what we fill out on the New York side. So if they are putting 5% down, that's where this would go. The next line would be the mortgage amount. And the last line would be the, so if they were putting 20% down in total, would be the additional 15%. So this line, the additional deposit, the mortgage, and the balance of the purchase price should all add up to whatever your offer price is. So make sure your math is right all the time. So add your numbers up, make sure that you're correct. Buyers and sellers initial every page in this contract. So be sure that they do that. Okay. So here in number 3, we're talking again about the initial deposit. I would just put an NA at this point because we're not taking that. I'm going to see if I can have Lori fill that in initially so that you don't have to worry about it. Additional deposit, again, is where your 5% or 10%, whatever they're putting down at contract signing would go. So this is the date in which they would be giving that deposit. Sorry about that. So you can either leave this blank and sometime within 10 days, they would be bringing that deposit in. The attorney may change that, but if you're in a hot market and this is a hot property, you're going to try to talk to your buyer and make sure that they can get that money in sooner rather than later. So when they go in to actually sign the addendum that the attorney prepared is probably when you should have them bring in the deposit. As the market changes, this may change, but for now, that's probably kind of a best practice. Any questions on that? Okay. So C talks about the initial deposit and where that money is going to go. So again, this can be filled in because it's pretty typical that it will go into the seller's attorney's escrow account. I'm actually going to fill some of this in and have Lori. Okay. So if there is a mortgage contingency, this portion has to be filled out. They want more information than, on offers that we do in New York. So you would have to put this principal amount is the principal amount of the mortgage only. So if the mortgage is going to be $300,000, that would go here. They want to know the type of loan it's going to be, whether it's a VA or FHA or a 203K or a conventional. I'm going to tell you if you're doing any of the first 3, there is definitely a addendum for each of those. They want to know the term of the mortgage. Typically, it's 30 years and based on a 30-year payment schedule, if it is 30 years. Okay, let me just go down a little bit more. So now they're asking when the mortgage commitment will be delivered. When you put a date in there, make sure you speak to the mortgage broker and make sure that they can meet whatever date you are putting in. So if you're dealing with a Bruce Alec or a Joe May, it's very easy to make that phone call and say, hey, how long is it going to take you to get a mortgage commitment for me? And if they say 30 days, then you can, with good faith, put in 30 days. If it's less, do whatever you need to do in this market to get your deal done, but make sure that the people you're working with can actually do what you're saying. And then the balance of the purchase price will be paid by the buyer at closing, which will take place on. So this is really important for you guys to know. You know, in New York, how we have an on or about date, which is plus or minus 30 days. Well, in New Jersey, they pretty much stick to their closing date. So it's not really loosey-goosey. It's not really that you have more time. Make sure you really talk to your buyers and to your mortgage broker that's attached to your buyer to make sure that whatever you're putting down here can actually be done. Questions? We're good? Okay. So the next, and again, make sure that everything is signed or initialed rather at the bottom. 4 and 5, there's nothing really that we need to fill in, but for number 6, make sure that you include anything that you want to be considered in the sale of this house. You know, if it is that you have to list all the appliances, if you're not sure if they're leaving a second fridge or freezer or light fixtures or shades, make sure you put it in this section. And if there is anything excluded in the listing, you should just put it down here as well. So number 8 talks about dates and times for performance. And so anyway, we'll go through this. So here the seller requests that any addendum or other document be signed in connection with this contract on final execution date, acknowledgement date, or similar language considered such. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, so this talks about dates of inspections, and so when they're talking about these addendums, they usually do coincide with additional inspections, because if you have a septic system, you're going to do a septic inspection. If you do have an underground oil tank, or you think suspect that there is one, you're going to have a sweep done. And truth be told, in New Jersey, it's more often than not that there are oil tanks or were oil tanks at some time. So it is a good practice, again, best practice, to let your buyers know that they should be doing an oil tank sweep as well. Buyers can select their title company, and if they are, you would put that in here. You know that we have our own title company here in the office, so you can put a short abstract in there if you choose to, if your buyers are okay with that. And we have disclaimer forms for that as well for the buyers to sign. This next section talks about certificate of occupancy and zoning compliances. So let me just read. So each municipality in New Jersey requires different things. So if you suspect that there has been additions on the house, or they tell you that there was perhaps a septic, not a septic, but an oil tank that was, instead of removed, was remediated, meaning that they just filled it in, and there is a C of O for it, you could go to the town, just like in New York, and request to see that there are C of Os for those things, so it will, so as to not hold you up at the end.
Karen, I have a question.
Sure.
So most of these things applies to the listing agent. If I have a buyer, I wouldn't have knowledge of all this stuff if I'm filling this thing out.
No, but it may be in the listing, and you haven't done the inspection yet, so some of this you may not know. But it may be obvious. There may be an oil tank still in the property, and I'm going to say, if there's a above ground oil tank on the property now, and that property was built in like 1940s, there's a good chance that there was an underground oil tank at some point.
Okay, so that's if I have knowledge, but if not, if it's not on the listing, then I don't have to fill none of these out.
But still, by the date of it, UG, if the property is older, like there's some properties that I didn't have knowledge of if there was or there wasn't, but just because of the date that the property was built, you know, you can suggest it. And even the inspectors now are suggesting that they do oil tank sweeps.
Okay. Thanks.
It's better to be on the safe side than not, because
Yeah.
if there is an underground oil tank, and it wasn't properly, I forget what they call it, they fill it with, they remove all the oil that's in there and they fill it with sand, and if it's done properly, it's okay. But if they just kind of left it there and there was a little bit of oil in there, eventually over the years, the tank starts decomposing and the oil starts seeping into the ground. It becomes an environmental issue and it's very costly to clean up.
Okay. Mhm.
So you don't want your buyers getting caught with something like that after it closes, because once a house closes, it becomes their problem.
No, my question is, like, if the inspection is done, then chances are you find all of this out. But initially when I'm submitting this contract, do I have to go through all that process before doing this application, this contract?
You may not know, so it may not happen until you do the
The inspection.
inspection. Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. But this is just for you to be aware. This is
Okay.
really
Mhm.
just to make you guys aware of the, New Jersey is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and sometimes the municipalities come in and they're very strict with these kind of things, and sometimes they're not. So it depends upon where it is. Okay. Municipal assessments. So like you can't speak for the seller here. So here where this says seller represents that the seller has or has not been notified of the, you don't know if they have or not. So you would just leave this blank, because you are not representing the seller, you're representing the buyer. So there's some things that the seller needs to fill in. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So this, the next section 11 talks about the quality and insurability of title. Again, this is not really something that we do, but it's in the contract because we're filling out a contract here. And the part that we need to fill out is that this, whatever type of home it is. So here you would be putting in either single family or commercial property, or a 2 to 4 family, 2 family, whatever it is, whatever the property is, a condo, a co-op, that's what you would put in here. So this next section, and this is where the new language was inserted. This talks about the property that your buyers are looking to buy. Are there tenants on the property right now? And it's either going to be applicable or not. You're going to know the answer to that question. So if it is applicable, you have to be listing the tenants' names and blah, 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 whatever information is here. This line right here is the new language, which talks about lead paint. So this was just newly added to the contracts. Buyer acknowledges that effective 2022, July 22 of 2022, certain rental dwelling units built before 1978 are required to be inspected pursuant to New Jersey, blah, 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 for lead paint, section 13D below. So they added, that's what they added, another section of this contract. We'll go through it when we get to it, but this really just pertains to tenants. So if you don't have tenants, you don't have to worry about this. You're just going to click on top that it's not applicable and just skip this section totally. Okay, it goes through the lead paint warning. It goes through inspections for lead paint. Again, it's asking when it's going to be cured, if it has to be cured, you know, they're looking for dates. So you would either leave it blank and it gives them 3 business days, or you're going to put in a different, if you need longer time period, then you would put in a different time period. So now this talks about the new law. This is G. This is the new section that was added in. And again, there's different types of inspections that could be done. And they have to be done if the tenants are turning over. So if it was vacant and you're going to be, there's going to be new tenants in there, then you have to do these inspections. If not, and there's existing tenants in there, it has to be done by July 22nd of 2024. Most of the sales that you'll have, unless they're 2, you know, multifamily homes, are not going to have tenants there. Okay, so this talks about the different types of sewer systems. A point of entry system is not a septic system. It's an older system that's very rarely found. So you would know from the listing what type of system it is. And if you have a question about it, ask the listing agent, but it's going to be either applicable or not applicable. And the same thing goes for cesspool requirements. That is not a septic system. These are older type systems, but they exist. Okay. So this is the inspection contingency clause. It talks about getting different types of inspections. Radon comes into play here. They talk about radon. Wood boring insects. The buyer's right to have an inspection, how long after contracts are signed they're going to have an inspection, if there's a problem, how much time do they need to have it cured, if they need another inspection, how long do they need. You can, again, leave these blank, and then it would, the default would be 14 calendar days. If you think this is a hot property and you need to get this stuff done quicker, then you're going to put, a shorter time period in there. The responsibility to cure would be on the seller's part, and how long they would have then to cure whatever comes up in the inspections. And you guys know that the inspection reports go to the attorneys as well. Most times the attorneys will negotiate the inspection reports. Sometimes you'll get an agent who will want to do it more quickly and do it the way we do it in New York, but most times than not, the attorneys do take care of the inspection items. This next section talks about flood hazard areas. Oops. They go into Megan's Law. They go into air safety. So you have to let people know when they're buying in certain municipalities that there are airports in the area, and that could affect their noise factor. This talks about bulk sales. This is buyers and obtaining homeowners insurance. Oops. The maintenance of the property, the basic maintenance of the property that a seller is expected to do prior to closing and at closing. Talks about what's expected, that the property should be in the condition that people saw it was at the time of closing, the walkthrough, and what's expected. I mean, they cover all the areas that we actually don't have in writing in our New York forms. Adjustments at closing. These, of course, the attorneys are going to take care of, so there's nothing really for us to fill in here. What happens if a buyer or seller fails to close? What happens then? But again, these are attorney issues. The consumer information statement, again, and relationships. So this section goes over that as well. So here in number 29, they're asking declaration of the broker's business relationship. So A is going to be the name of the firm and its representatives. So that would be us. You would say Keller Williams, and let me just look at something. Supplied information. Okay, so this would be the listing agent. If there is if you were the listing agent and the selling agent, you would just fill in this one section. But because there's a if there was a different listing agent from another company, you would put their information first. So it would be I don't know. Well, it could be another Keller Williams in New Jersey. We'll say Keller Williams Village would go here. You would put the agent's name, and you would say that this is the seller's agent. You would click this section off here. The next section would be you as the buyer's agent. So you would click off buyer's agent. If more than one firm is participating, information is supplied by, you would put Keller Williams Hudson Valley Realty, and you would again put the buyer's agent here. I'm sorry, up here, this would have been the seller's agent. This is the buyer's agent here. Okay, then they want more detailed information. They want license numbers. They want of the firms that are involved and of the agents. Do you guys know where to find this information? Yes, no?
No, you know, but I think I have it just written down somewhere, but I don't know
I'm
where
going
to
to show you.
find it.
I'm going to show you.
I don't know where to find on the Garden State MLS, the brokerage license.
Okay, let me do this first because this is easy. This is the easy one, Diana. Okay, so I'm going to go, this is New Jersey MLS. I'm going to go to the roster and I'm going to say find members. I'm going to put my name in. So it's better if you put your name in as the agent because then you get your information and the company's information. That's not me. Okay, so I am here. Why can't I scroll down? Where's my, I don't know, I can't scroll down. But anyway, so this is giving you my email address, my code for the New Jersey MLS, my license number. Then it's also giving you the company information, their code, our address, phone numbers, and the company's license number. So it's all in one place and you could just copy and paste this information into wherever you need to put it on the form. Let me go to, I have to move this. Let me see what GSMLS. So let's do search member roster. Did you see, Diana, where it was?
No, I know where that is. I can't find the brokerage license number for other people.
When I can't find it, I go back to but let's see if it comes. Let me see.
If it's in NJ, I can find it, but if it's not in NJ, I can't.
Well, you could go on the listing and click on all the way on the bottom, and you'll see the name, and it'll say LIC, and you press it, and all the information will come up.
For the agent, not for the broker, not for the broker.
No, for the broker. It'll say employee reference number, and that's their broker number.
Yeah, it's called a reference number, Diana. It's not. Yeah, it's not called the license number. That's
well,
correct.
I find it for the agents, but I can't find it for the broker. All
right, let me just do it. All right, I'm going to come back. Let's see how much time we have, and we'll come back to this, and we'll see if we find it. Okay, with Tiana's help. Okay, so anyway, let's go through here. All right, so the listing firm's information is going to go first. It's their name, their license number, the listing agent's name, the agent's license number, the address of the company. They want the office phone number, the office fax number if they have, and the agent's cell phone number, and the agent's email address. The commission due to the listing firm, you're not going to have that information. You don't know what is on the listing form. But as far as on the buy side, you would put Keller Williams Hudson Valley Realty. You would put the company's license number, my name, my license number, our address, phone number, fax number, cell number. This is not right here, so it's not filling out correctly. So you would have to fix this because this is my cell phone number. So they want the office number. Oh no, what's happening here? What is going on? Sorry. I don't know where this came from. What is this? I don't want you. No. Wait, go away. All right. What is this? Okay, I don't know what that was. Okay. So in this section, though, the commission due, you guys have to remember that it's always a percentage minus a dollar amount. So it could be 2% minus 250. Whoops, it didn't go in here. 2%. Are you kidding me? What is happening? Sorry, guys, I'm being a little spazzy here. Okay, so make sure you fill this in the right way, but you have to look on the listing to see what it actually is. It could be 275, it could be 300, it could be this dollar amount, could be anything, depending upon the company. So make sure when you fill out your commissions and for commands and on your bills that you take into account whatever dollar amount needs to be subtracted out.
What is that anyway?
So that is the listing fee.
Oh,
We do it as well on our side. Ours is 275. Yeah, so it's just to recoup the listing fee from the buyer's agent.
okay. Mhm.
Okay. So this section number 32 is to disclose whether the buyer or seller has a real estate license or not. Brokers receive closing disclosures. If there's professional referrals, there's nothing else here that we need to fill out other than, don't forget, we need each page initialed. This is just talking about electronic signatures are allowed. Okay, so this is number 42 is the next section that I wanted you guys to see. If any of these things apply, then you need to check them off here and you have to make sure that you have the proper addendums to go with them. And it talks about the sales contingency, if it's a condo, Corona, if that's still a thing, FHA or VA, loans, lead paint, if it's new construction, if it's a private sewer system, private well, properties with 2 or more units, seller's concession, a short sale, solar panels, swimming pools, and underground fuel tanks. I think there are a couple more that they don't have listed here, but these are the main ones that you have to be concerned with. This is a section where you could put other contractual provisions. So if you had to say buyer needs to close within by a specific date or whatever special conditions need to be talked about, this is where you would put them. Sometimes, not sometimes, but I put the buyer's attorney rather information in this section so that the listing agent's attorney, the seller's attorney rather has the information. I don't know why I'm so tongue-tied today. So you have a lot of space here to write whatever you need. You don't really need witnesses to sign. This is the end. The buyer would sign this and you as, I guess we don't sign this now. Buyer. Nope, we don't sign it. We only sign the first page, but they're going to initial it at the end as well. Any questions on this form? Okay.
That's a lot of information.
That's a lot of information.
Yeah.
So listen, we're going to do this again. You know, I'm going to keep on doing these.
Mhm.
So really, if this is your first time really looking this over like this, Yuji, then I would now, after this, take the time to read through it
Mhm.
and, you know, come back to me with questions that you have, you know, for sure, but or have it ready for next time we do it so that you can ask whatever questions you need.
Okay. Do you mind just emailing me a copy of this?
I will
Yes.
email it to everybody.
All right. Thank you. Not
Okay.
the ones that I mean a blank one. Because I
Yes.
need to just practice it.
Yep, for sure. So if you could get these from DocuSign.
I know, but for some reason, when I try to pull it, it never works for me.
Okay, I'll send it, I'm gonna send it to our whole group so that everybody has it, and I'll say that this is the new form with the
Yeah.
updated information for the lead paint for tenants. I'm gonna save and close. So let me just see if there's anything else. So these are the addendums, and the addendums are pretty straightforward and simple. Let me just get one. This is regarding what? Solar panels. So we'll just look at this one. Okay, so this is the addendum for solar panels. They're typically just one page long. It talks about, you know, whether it's leased or whether it's owned, and you just have to read through it and see what needs to be filled out. The solar panel is included with the sale and marine on the property. So you're gonna have to talk, you know, with the seller's agent's help, you're gonna have to fill this out and send this on in with the listing. This one's a little bit longer for the solar panels because typically there's a contract with it. And again, they have to sign it and send it in. This is going to be on a case-by-case basis. So if you guys need help when the time comes filling any of these out, let me know. I want to go back to this. I'm going to do a quick search. And I just want to see. I just want active coming soon. I just want active listings in Bergen. Where's my Bergen? And the town of Allendale. And my search is here. Okay, so what are you saying you do? You click on the listing?
No, it wasn't me. I can,
Oh.
yes, someone else wasn't able to.
Is she not here anymore?
I know somebody wasn't able to. I mean, I haven't searched it this way, so go ahead so I can see.
So what did she say to do? She said that she clicked, here's the
onto-
listing office.
Yeah, you just gotta click on
You
it.
go to the listing. I think you go to the listing itself.
Yeah,
This
click
is the
on the
list.
listing and then scroll down.
Yeah. And I click on the listing off. Oh, so that number, listing office manager, office manager.
No. Click on the listing. You didn't click on it yet.
Yep.
I did. Wait,
No, it's
It's
not
not
open.
open.
this is the actual listing.
You gotta open it.
I
Open
did-
it.
It's not open.
It's not open though.
The listing is open.
No, it's not.
This is, I mean, you guys don't see it?
No.
No, it just has a list of 4 listings.
Oh, so you're not, I'm actually, oh, because it went to another page. So I'm actually on the listing. You're not, I guess. you're
Scroll
not.
down.
Scroll down to the bottom. At the bottom, it gives me the listing office, listing agent
And then you
two.
got license right next to the listing. You're gonna see license next to the listing agent name.
Okay. Oh,
And you
yeah.
click. Yep, and it'll have all the info.
But
But
not for
not the
the
listing
broker.
office. The listing
Not-
office.
It will have the broker. It will have the broker. You just have to look at where it says employee reference number, and that's the number.
That's
Okay.
not the broker.
No, it's,
Right.
it has Compass New Jersey LLC, and it has a number there after it.
Yeah.
So it is here too.
That's the license number?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if we have a listing. I would love to look at one of ours because I could tell. I'll find out for you guys, and in my email, I'm gonna send a follow-up email with the contract, and I'll make sure that that number is the license number, okay?
Okay.
I'll give a call to GSMLS and see, okay? Do you all have any other questions?
Mm,
That I can answer at this time?
Okay, going back to the front of the contract, let's go back to the down payment.
All right, one
Uh-uh.
sec. One sec. The front of the contract, the down payment, okay, we can go over that again.
No, they are so sickening in New Jersey with this. Oh my God.
Yep,
All right, so let's say that you're putting down $10,000. Let's just say as an EMD money, $10,000, right?
yeah.
So right there on this, I think it's like the
Hang on, let
second
me
page. Yeah.
just do it and I will do it. Here we go.
right here,
So they're putting down a total of $10,000, right?
as their initial deposit, right?
Okay,
All right. So the total price, let's just say is 620.
okay, hang on. Okay,
All right. So the initial deposit is $10,000.
yeah.
Okay. There's no additional deposit.
No,
Now, this is
so
the
there's no
part-
initial deposit. The additional deposit is the down payment.
Oh, I
That's
thought that.
why.
Okay,
See-
so the initial deposit is not the EMD?
The initial deposit is if you were giving a good faith check to them that you're purchasing this property, like $1,000. So you weren't on when I said that before. So we don't do, nobody does that anymore. I don't know why it's still here, but I'm going to have her change it and put a 0 in there standard. So your down payment deposit is the additional deposit.
Oh, that's what I've been messing up with then. Okay, so the additional deposit is $10,000. So
Right.
the mortgage, let's just say the mortgage is 95% of it. So we'll put that number in, the 95% in, right?
Yep.
And then this is the part that be confusing me, the balance of the purchase price.
Okay, so wait a second, hang on. So 620, right, times 95%
Yeah,
is 589.
right.
589, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is 599. So then you have to, so then the initial deposit is whatever's left over. So the 5%, hang on. So hang on, 620,123 times 5% equals 31,000 minus 10,000 is 21,000. So,
I've been doing it right lately, but not with the initial deposit. I've been putting the EMD as initial deposit now.
right. So now this 10,000, the 589 and the 21,000 should all add up to 620,000. So 10,000 plus 589 plus 21 equals 620,000. So we are correct.
Yeah, the 0 is already there, Karen.
What
I think
happened?
they already pre-filled the 0 on the
In the wrong field. It is.
Yeah, it already
yeah.
has 0 on it.
I have
Usually
to-
when I say to just 0.
I have to make her fix that.
So it helps with the 0 automatically there. So you
Yes.
don't have to fill it.
Right. So I'm going to have her do that. She put it in the wrong field.
Yeah.
So I will tell her to do that. And there's a couple more things that I'm going to have just pre-filled in. I'll go through it again and have her fix that in DocuSign. Okay? Does that answer everyone's questions?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. So if you guys have questions in between as you're doing a sale or a deal, please just call me. All right.
Thanks, Karen.
Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.